All right. Welcome back, folks, to the FF Face-Off. This is a fantasy football podcast. Today's show, we are recapping Week 13, the good, the bad, and if you watch Sunday Night Football, the very ugly. We'll answer any fantasy football questions you have. We know Week 14 is going to be a big one. Some of you guys are jockeying for position for the playoffs, trying to make it in, and there's a lot of teams on bye, so we'll be here to help you out the whole show. Feel free to go to fffaceoff.com for all of your fantasy football, NFL, sports betting needs. Follow the show on X at fffaceoff. And last but not least, if you're watching on the old YouTube, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Takes you 2 seconds, helps us out immensely, and we genuinely appreciate it. So with all that being said, my name is Michael Hoff. You can follow me on X at the FF Realist. I'm joined by Mr. Steve D'Angelo, my partner in crime in terms of DFS. He can be followed at Fantasy Savvy. Steve, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going good. I had a good Thanksgiving, and we did a nice DFS show, and I think we did pretty well. So, yeah, it was a good week, and we got 1 week left. And there's a lot of teams. You're 6-6, or 6-7, or 7-6 rather, and you got to get this win this week. 6 teams on a bye. This is an absolute huge week. Sometimes you need help. I'm in a 14-team league. My team's 7-6, and I'm on a 5-game winning streak. And even if I win this week, I still may not even get in the damn playoffs. So, you need a lot of things. So we got to be on our P's and Q's. But happy to be here and recap this. Pretty good week of football.
Yeah, absolutely. So come on. We'll answer your questions. Last but not least, of course, the godfather of the program. Sometimes he burns pizza, sometimes he does not. But he is handsome. He is wonderful. He is occasionally charming. His name is Anthony Servino, and he can be followed at the Real NFL Guru. Anthony, sweetheart, how is by you, and how'd the pizza turn out?
Good. Elio's for my almost 10-year-old, so he's easy sometimes. But good week 13. Still alive in the FFPC. Doing well. It's not my best year in fantasy with the playoffs coming up, but it's better than, because I hold myself, if I'm not perfect, I get all bent out of shape, but it's not as bad as I made it out to be. But still, I have this one FFPC team. I shared it in the chat. I have 3 straight weeks over 160 points, 2 of which over 180, and I just knocked off the number 1 seed. So I'm playing for another FFPC championship this week. And I think if it makes the tournament, it could make some noise. It does have, Bucky Irving, Chuba Hubbard. It's a loaded team.
Yeah, I'm on a best ball mania squad here, where I'm up by almost 200 points from the next best teom. After this week, we go into this is the qualifiers. After this, and we go into the nitty gritty, trying to earn some money. So,
what's crazy is I think you made. I don't even know if that was deliberate team, because I know that's your 4 tight end team. I don't know if you did that on purpose or if that was a mistake. But that was
I could have. Well, see, I don't think I fell asleep because the rest of my team looks good, and I have 4 high end tight ends, which I wouldn't have gotten, say, if I fell asleep. So. I think this is one where I purposely did it. I got Laporta, Kittle, Bowers, Goddard. Those are my 4 tight ends.
And
so tight ends locked up for me. Anyway, all right. So we got Greg coming in here saying, "Hey guys, what's going on?" Albert says, "What was the pizza bet for last week?" I think I lost that one. We're gonna do at some point. We are gonna recap.
I think it was Taysom Hill versus McBride.
Man, my guy.
And Taysom Hill is out for the year, which is a big injury. I mean, that guy was on his way to a strong finish for sure.
Just yet another.
That's going to hurt some best ball teams.
It is. Yep. It hurt my heart. Not like anybody cares. Jared Fortin came in here. He said, "Hey guys, so much for CMC/Mason. Again, I likely won't get Isaiah Guerendo, who I did grab. Who do I grab?
Patrick Taylor.
Yeah, Patrick Taylor, Vidal, Benson, Corum, Estime. Also lost Hill/Goddard. Who do I grab? Noah Gray or Pat Freiermuth? So a lot to sift through there. We will get in depth in terms of 49er running backs here in a moment. But Anthony, in terms of this though, who do you go for in terms of running back here?
In terms of what's left with the 49ers, if you can't get
No,
Guerendo, or
and we'll get to the Niners in a second.
out of this group, okay.
Out of this group for Jared, and then we'll talk in depth about Niners, and then we'll move on to more questions.
I mean, it's slim pickings. I guess the one with the most opportunity could be Vidal, but I think they had between him and Gus Edwards had a total of 10 carries this past week. That offense in Los Angeles does not look good without J.K. Dobbins. Corum got some run. I do think there's a world where, Kyron's not having the Kyron season he had last year. And last year, remember, Kyron missed a lot of time, and he was fresh a lot of the year. He's been healthy for the most part this season. Maybe he's wearing down a little bit. So, Corum might be the sneaky one on my target out of this group.
Okay, I could see Corum. I'd probably still go Vidal, but Corum would probably be my next best option there. Steve, what says you in terms of those running backs that are left there?
Let's see what Estime does tonight. Maybe he's going to get a little bit more work. We don't really know. Again, it could be like a hot hand all the rest of the way. But yeah, Corum, I don't mind. He could come up a little bit. That is for sure. He's starting to really, get into the mix the last couple of weeks. Benson's kind of getting a little bit more work as well. Vidal was on the field a lot, just didn't do anything. The Chargers, that was a weird game. And then Patrick
both
Taylor,
averaged 5 yards a carry, but didn't get a ton of work.
I mean, Patrick Taylor, he stinks, but it's just him and Guerendo at this point. So in the Niners offense, maybe Patrick Taylor is maybe the best bet. Guerendo could get most of the looks. Like Shanahan does love to run his running backs into the ground. So
that he apparently does. And then who does he grab here? Noah Gray or Pat Freiermuth, PPR?
I would grab Freiermuth.
Yeah, I would too. Fifth best tight end yesterday. Caught 6 of 7 for 68 and a touchdown. Anthony, would you be in line with that too? That's where I would roll.
With Freiermuth this season, when he's gotten opportunity, he's delivered. Maybe we know Arthur Smith likes using the tight end. Is there a world where he starts using the tight end more? Because most of the time he's like a 3 or 4 target tight end. In the few games, I think he had 2 games where he had 7 targets, including yesterday. He had over 16 PPR points.
Yeah. All right. And we'll pull this up here too. Mr. Daniel Cap saying, great call to start Bowers and McBride, 51 points. Thank you. You're welcome. Debbie did come in and said, hey guys, love that DraftKings contest. Yeah, Debbie, I bet you did because you beat me out. I was trying to I was scoreboard watching late. I thought I had you, but
Debbie took it down. Congrats,
congratulations
for the W.
Yeah.
Great job.
We will do that again in week 14. Now, Anthony, we have a couple questions here about the Niners, so let's talk 49ers running backs now. Anthony always jokes that I love to talk about the Niners, but this isn't a great time to talk about them because they have not played so hot. But literally probably almost 2 hours ago, it was announced Christian McCaffrey was going on the IR, which was expected. Jordan Mason, though, is joining him with a high ankle sprain. That was not as expected. So Isaac Guerendo, we assume is going to be the guy. We do have, which I think is associated with this. KJ Frederick does say, do you think Patrick Taylor can overtake Guerendo, be the new RB1 in San Francisco, or is it the Guerendo show moving forward? My answer to that, and then I'll kick it to Anthony, and then I'll kick it to Steve about just the backfield in general. In terms of that, I think it's the Guerendo show. The only thing I'll say, I don't love Guerendo in pass protection. So if you can't pass protect and you're a young running back, even if you got a lot of guys on IR, it's going to be hard to put you on the field. So I think that is how they open the door to another running back overtaking Guerendo. But for now, I think it's a Guerendo show. I think he's been there long enough, at least in terms of this year. I think he's done well enough when he's been on the field in terms of actual run production. So I think Guerendo is the guy for the time being. I also think I think these guys have some heart the rest of the way, but this is a Niner team. Steve said earlier, they can play for this. They can play. They're done. They're done. They're done. They and between those walls in that locker room, they might say, hey, we can maybe get this division, but their division record sinks. They're done. So I think it's a Guerendo show the rest of the way. But Anthony, what says you? Would you go with the Guerendo show the rest of the way? would you want to take another running back? You know, we might hear news that they may pick up another running back over the course of this week. Would you swoop in and take somebody else, or would you be happy getting Guerendo?
You know, I think Guerendo right now, because that's all we have to go off of is right now. Yes, they can go pick up another running back. Yes, they have Patrick Taylor. The only player we know definitively can operate in this system with some success is Isaac Guerendo. You know, who are they going to bring in? They're going to sign somebody tomorrow and he's going to be on the field taking 15 carries on Sunday? No. So at least for this week, with Mageddon coming up, Isaac Guerendo is probably in line for a full workload. So he's the player that should be on top of everybody's waiver wire. Again, there's a little bit less uncertainty here because he has played. The expectation per Adam Schefter is that he is in line to be the RB1. And you get the Chicago Bears. This game, they can match up with Chicago when it comes to running the football. This game actually favors, in my opinion, San Francisco because the Bears' run defense isn't very good. And this could be a 20-plus game for Isaac Guerendo. You know, he's flashed a little bit, 10 for 99 back in Seattle in week 6. Last night, 4 for 19 and 1, but obviously he started, it was like the mop-up duties after the Mason and CMC issues. So, yeah, I would fire up Isaac Guerendo. And on waivers, we're heading in week 14. You have Mageddon. A lot of people are playing for a playoff spot. Yep. Fab is probably going to do you no good. This might be a winner-go-home matchup. I'm going all in on Guerendo.
Yeah, I would too. And Steve, just before I kick it to you, I will just say for context, Anthony does mention the Mageddon coming up. The teams on bye this week are the Broncos, the Colts, the Patriots, the Commanders, the Ravens, and the Texans. So those are some viable fantasy assets that'll be sitting at home this week, watching games on the couch, just like the rest of us. But Steve, what says you in terms of this 49ers backfield?
Yeah, it's gonna be Guerendo again. Patrick Taylor, he's been on a million teams, stinks. So Guerendo, fourth round pick. Guy runs a 4.3. You give him a hole, he could take off. We saw that, against Seattle, 76-yard run when Mason got hurt with that shoulder injury. He filled in for Mason again against Dallas, 14 for 85 and a touchdown. So yeah, this guy, and even scored a touchdown last night as well. So yeah, if you have, couple hundred left, this is the last week to use your fab, blow it all on Guerendo. He's going to be the best option, but for sure. So yeah, I think he can be pretty good down the stretch here. And the Niners, I know they're done. Yeah. Most likely they're done, but they're still going to play all out and try win the division. They're 2 games out right now. And outside of the Lions, pretty much all those games are winnable down the stretch. So, yeah, I like Guerendo. I think he, the way that the Niners set up their run game, most guys are successful in this system. You think back to Raheem Mostert when he was on the team, you give him a crease and he would take off as well. So that's kind of Guerendo's skill set as well, 4.3, 40 times. So this guy's got speed. So yeah, got to go for Guerendo. Patrick Taylor, I don't mind adding him. I mean, he may do, he'd be maybe like decent, but
your expectations should not be as grand as if you had Guerendo. Yeah. No. So, and yeah, I was going to clean that up. I know the Niners are done, but there's still value to be had at the running back position when you play for the 49ers under a Kyle Shanahan offense. What's that?
And for what it's worth, the upcoming schedule on top of Chicago, the Rams 22nd against the run, Miami 21st. Outside of week 17 against Detroit, you can use Guerendo in your fantasy lineups.
Yeah, for sure. Our resident troll comes in as always with a super chat. This time, Anthony, he says, Josh Allen got engaged. He should get married next season after KC at Buffalo. Call a match made in heaven.
He's making a SummerSlam reference.
Yes,
we know what he's doing.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, we appreciate the money, but what do you? What the fuck is that? Yes, congratulations to Josh Allen getting engaged, and congratulations on being the 49ers daddy. But yeah, so all right, let's get into something that's actually substantial here. Let's talk a little bit about Bucky Irving yesterday. While we were all, we saw Christian McCaffrey yesterday come out of the gates hot, looking good. Prior to that, in the 4:00 slate, we saw Mr. Bucky Irving go off, and as of right now, he is the number one running back on the week with 30.5 points scored. Went up against Carolina Panthers, and the big thing I want to mention here is keep in mind the Buccaneers go up against this same Panthers team in Week 17. So if you've got Bucky Irving, it's a good time to be alive. But Steve, what says you here? Like, is there any other running back, maybe like a Najee Harris or something you'd compare him to for the rest of this way? Is he the full-fledged guy? Like, I'm saying for this amount of time that we've got left, is Bucky Irving maybe your number one running back for this stretch in particular?
I don't know if he's my number one stretch, and he also didn't finish that game with a hip injury, so we have to see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, we saw it, the week prior when he pulled away from Rachaad White, and they went right back to the well with Bucky Irving, and we kind of saw it a little bit in the beginning of the year. We saw flashes. They kept using him, and I mean, last week, this past Sunday, man, he just looked unbelievable. I mean, 25 for 152 on the ground, catches another 3 balls for 33, but I mean, he looks awesome. So yeah, I mean, hopefully he's healthy. He's out there next week, but yeah, Bucky Irving, man, he's going to be, at least a top 5 running back down the stretch, I would imagine. He looks absolutely dynamite. Just hope that the hip injury is not significant and he can get out there next week. But yeah, rookie out of Oregon. I remember initially I was like, is he going to be good enough to pass Rachaad White, or is he, the skill sets are kind of similar. They're good out of the backfield catching the ball. But then as I looked into him more and more as the season approached, I really was getting higher and higher on him. And I'm glad I grabbed more of him. And he's proving to be a league winner right now.
Yeah, and Anthony, you were another guy who was very high on Bucky Irving. So, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, well, Bucky Irving, dealing with a hip, they're downplaying it right now. Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, they're calling it a non-issue. It's still something to monitor. But if he's healthy, if he's in the lineup, he's the RB1. Like Rachaad White, he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield, but Bucky Irving is even cutting into that workload right now. He's had 9 targets total in the past 2 games, and he's had at least 3 targets in every game since week 7. So he's cutting a little bit into that Rachaad White workload. But when it comes to efficiency, and this was a knock on Rachaad White this offseason, he had a lot of volume last year, won a lot of people fantasy championships. Going into this year, I said it, a lot of people said it. If he was a competent running back, if he was a little bit more efficient, he was eventually going to emerge. And we saw flashes early. He's gotten more usage as the season went on, and now he's absolutely going off. He has a 23.1% broken tackle rate. That's 94th percentile amongst qualifying running backs. He's averaging 3.4 yards after contact. That's 95th percentile. He's even really good. Like, people talk about Rachaad White as a receiver. Bucky Irving, 10.3 yards after the catch with an 86.5% catch rate. He's being targeted on 24.5% of the routes he is running. He's a do-it-all running back. And now we are looking at back-to-back games from Bucky Irving with at least 18 touches, and he's had at least 16 now in 3 straight. This is his backfield, and, he has an outstanding schedule. You got the Raiders, the Chargers, Dallas, and Week 17 Fantasy Championship, Carolina Panthers once again. He is a league winner. And, Najee Harris this week, just to rope him in here, he had a big game. Now, Najee was quiet going into this game, but I was all in on Najee. This is one of those situations where I look at the historical narrative. He crushes Cincinnati. He comes out, crushes Cincinnati once again, just under 25 PPR points, 16 for 75 and a touchdown as a runner, catches all 6 targets for 54 yards as a receiver. But I'm a big Najee guy, but this rest of season schedule, because normally I'm going to err on the side of Najee, because when it's all said and done, I get Jalen Warren's in the mix. This is Najee's backfield. Whereas Bucky Irving, we've seen Sean Tucker, White, and Bucky all score a touchdown, I think, against the Giants. There's, Najee's more of that. I know he's going to get that volume. He's at 19.5 touches per game.
I'm
But
still
no,
going Bucky.
I'm still going Bucky.
Okay,
and the reason why is the rest of season schedule for Najee Harris. Cleveland, 6th against the run. Philly, 5th. Baltimore on a road like Philly, 9th. KC in the fantasy championship, 1st. I get he's getting around 20 touches a game. But that is a gauntlet of terrible matchups where we just went over Bucky Irving. He's ascending and his matchups are great. He might have a little bit more competition, but like it is not even close. I'm starting Bucky Irving over Najee Harris for the rest of the season.
Steve, do you have any other thoughts there, or can we move on?
Yeah, as long as Bucky's healthy, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to Super Chat we have, I will just say, Anthony did mention Week 17 against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's on Netflix. That's on Christmas. And what are we doing on Christmas at the FF Face-Off? We are giving away an NFL jersey. The winner gets a choice of an NFL jersey from Fanatics at $129 value. How do you enter, you ask? Well, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which if you're watching, you're already here. Send us proof of said subscription on social media or email us at fffaceoff@gmail.com. In terms of social media, it could be to me at the FF Realist. It could be to Anthony, the Real NFL Guru. It could be to whoever. It could be to at FF Faceoff predominantly, which is our handle on X. So there you go. That's how you enter. Get yourself an NFL jersey. And we'll announce the winner on Christmas because we're festive like that and all that fun shit. Let's get to another super chat. This coming in again from our resident trouble. This one's actually relevant, guys. We were talking about this off air. He says he likes the sudden anytime touchdown. This is for tonight as the Broncos take on the Browns. Game will be in Denver. He does say, though, what bets do you guys like? So, Steve, what bets do you like, man?
I'm going to take the Browns with the points. I believe it's up to 6 now. So I'm going to take that. And I do like, we were talking about this in our chat, the Bo Nix rushing props. He hasn't been hitting it. His rushing has been way down, but Browns play, I think, 4th or 5th most man defense in the league, about 35%. So obviously, when a team's in man, everybody's running with the receivers. They turn their back, and maybe Bo Nix takes off a couple more times. Maybe there's some tight coverage. He's got to make some plays with his legs. So I believe that prop is 21.5. So I kind of like that as well. And then a Nick Chubb touchdown. 2 touchdowns last week. I could see him falling into the end zone again, and that's plus odds as well. So I like those 3.
Anthony, I believe you were in on the Chubb touchdown as well. What else do you like along with that?
I am going to roll the dice on the Jerry Jeudy revenge game touchdown narrative. I was talking about it earlier. Jameis Winston, remember last year, week 18, he went against coach's order. Instead of kneeling, he got he got Jamal Williams a touchdown, right? Because he didn't have a touchdown on the year. Jameis Winston, world where he's going to force Jerry Jeudy balls to get him in the end zone. Jerry
balls
media said that, hey, I'm a better player than how they use me in Denver. So this is shaping up to be, and again, at plus, I think he's around 250 odds on FanDuel right now. That's certainly worth a sprinkle on Jerry Jeudy. I like Chubb. Bo Nix over 1.5 touchdowns. That's plus 108. Outside of last week, which was a snow game, the Cleveland Browns have conceded at least 2 touchdowns to every quarterback they faced up until last week in a blizzard since week 6. Burrow, Carr, Herbert, so like this, I think that, and their defense, they're good against the run. They're not very good against the pass. So if we like, Cortland Sutton to score, there's correlation. There's 1, and I do think he finds another touchdown somewhere. So I plus 108, and then the yards too. This Cleveland defense, I'm trying to look for so his yards are at 223.
Yeah.
Cleveland secondary, they have allowed since week 6, 5 quarterbacks out of since week 6, including Russell Wilson in the snow, to go over 223 yards. So I'm on the Bo Nix props, and I'm on those touchdown scores. And
I dig it. No, I dig it. I dig it. I like it a lot.
I think Pete said. I think Pete in the chat also.
Yeah,
he built
sack?
something on Jameis Winston interception, and to lower the odds because that's minus 168. He's pairing it with the Denver money line.
Which great minds think alike because Albert did come in here and say Jameis is throwing interceptions. So there you go.
I think I like that one as well. 5 quarterbacks ran for over 20 yards against the Browns this year as well.
Man, I want to take that, but maybe I'll do it. We'll see.
It would have been 6 if Daniel Jones had 1 more yard as well.
We did get from Jamie, then we'll get back to some actual actionable content. Jamie did say, who makes a better Santa, Anthony or Hoff? And then Jamie came back and said, I think Hoff would be a great Santa and Anthony an awesome Grinch.
Right.
Anthony would make like the Santa you see in the mall. And then Mike, you would make like the bad Santa. You would be.
I have a Santa suit in my class.
I would be the bad Santa, or
like
I'd be like
the Billy Bob Thornton bad Santa.
Yeah, you remember in Home Alone when he's trying to talk to the guy who's supposed to be Santa? Like that'd be me too. Like it's like, all right, kid, like what do you want? Let's make it snappy. But yeah.
By the way, when you were playing that. When you were playing that revenge music, I was thinking of Step Brothers. That's why. And then
I actually played. I was an emergency Easter bunny for a local township Easter egg hunt when I was like 19.
How high were you?
I was. My uncle at the time was the OEM coordinator, and they needed somebody to play the Easter bunny, and I got to they did the beach Easter egg. It was cool. Riding on a fire truck made the kids happy. That's cool. Before I was still young. That's before I was miserable.
That's spirit.
I don't know how I'm there now as a fucking Easter bunny now. I don't have patience right now.
The last thing Jamie said, and then we'll move on. We do have a question from Matt in terms of fantasy, but Jamie did say you got to wear the Santa suit close to Xmas. No, I fucking don't, but maybe I'll consider it.
I have. I have one in my closet.
Oh, Anthony will wear it. There you go. We'll give away some prizes, maybe in addition to the jersey. Maybe we'll give
Pete will wear it. Pete will do anything. Pete will do it. Yeah, that fucking guy. He's going to see Creed tonight, so everybody give him a shout out for going to see Creed.
Missing the Broncos.
Here we go with this now.
He's not. I think he's just saying that to bust my balls because I fucking hate Creed.
No, he's physically going to see Creed. They're touring around here. Our resident troll ATL just saw them on Friday. What?
Were they playing bars?
They're touring. They played the fucking Garden, man. They played Madison Square Garden.
All right,
they're good. They got some good songs. When did they come out? Early 90s.
This is why Anthony's not
late 90s. They're popular, right?
He's a bit of a dick. Yeah. That's why Anthony's a better Easter bunny, because Easter bunny doesn't talk. And when Anthony talks, he says some rude shit. Anyway, Matt Tate.
White people music.
White people music. Yes.
It is.
Yes. It's not white people music.
Anthony's half black. That's why.
God, if we have anybody who's not a Caucasian in this chat, if you like Creed, sound out. Let us know. Matt Tate, though, does ask. He's down by 32 with Chubb and Bo Nix left. He's down by 32. Okay. Sorry.
He's down by 32 with Chubb and Nix left. He's going against Javonte.
Yeah, he's going against Javonte. I'm sorry. I had to read that 37 times. My reading comprehension skills are fantastic right now. Is he cooked? That's what he wants to know. Anthony, is he cooked? Down by 32. Chubb and Nix left. You do like Chubb today.
I like Chubb. The thing is with Chubb, I don't know if that efficiency is going to be there. So we're going to have another 2-touchdown game, and Bo Nix is going to have to go up. You need 32 points. That's a lot. We don't have
Javonte's not going to score much. Now that I say that, he's going
but he's still down by. So let's say Javonte doesn't do anything.
No, I know. I get
32 points.
I get it. He's in the hole.
My issue with Nick Chubb brings nothing as a receiver out of the backfield. So it's not like, he can have 15 for 50, a touchdown, then he's going to get a couple of receptions. So you really need Bo Nix to have the game of his life, which he could. I mean, at this point, and I know these narratives matter to players. I'm sure he has incentives in his rookie deal. He's playing for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
I think there's a world where, hey, Bo Nix in the back of his head, I could potentially win this thing.
Steve, what says you? Is Matt cooked or not?
I give him a 35% chance.
Oh, don't love that. All right.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay.
65-35. It's not bad.
Creed is a boxing movie. Yes, it's a boxing movie, but it's a musical band long before there was a boxing movie. Anyway. And yes, see, FF Meteor says it's Creed and 3 Doors Down. That is correct. He's got it. And he does say Pete should do the Santa suit with the dog mask. And Pete will. You say jump, Pete says how high. If it's for clicks, Pete'll do it. He'll be there.
Jesus Christ.
He'll do it. He'll do it. It's not offensive. He'll do it. I'll fucking text him that right now. He'll do it. Matt did say love Creed, and he's Italian and Jamaican. So Anthony,
aren't you part Jamaican too?
No.
Oh, you dated a Jamaican. That's what it was.
Well, my ex-wife, hopefully my real wife doesn't listen to this. She knows, was half Trinidadian and half French Canadian.
Did she like Creed?
No. I don't know many people that like Creed. Except in this fucking show.
I mean, I'm not a I don't listen to Creed in my off time, but they definitely got some good songs.
Sure. I'm gonna rock out to Creed the moment this podcast is over.
Good,
just for Anthony.
I did Creed and like Guitar Hero. That's the closest thing I ever got to Creed.
I'm gonna leave Anthony a voicemail in like an hour and a half of me just singing Creed. So Tron Force does say though he's up by 12.48 with Njoku and the Broncos defense going. His opponent has Valet. I think I have a good shot at my 6th win in a row. I think you do too, man. I mean, you're already up. You got Njoku, Broncos defense. You'll probably get some interceptions off of Jameis. So, I mean, we all love Jameis, but Jameis is good for a couple interceptions. But
yeah, I would say 70% chance there, Tron.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like your odds a lot better than the last one. No offense.
Yeah, well, offense taken probably by him. Let's get into. I'm just pulling something up here. Give me 1 second. So we go to the Thursday game. It feels like a lifetime ago. Last Thursday, that being Thanksgiving. DJ Moore breaks late, has a great fantasy performance. Was also Keenan Allen. They're going up against the 49ers this week. Anthony, you kind of referenced this earlier, talking about, the coaching change. Does that mean anything for Chicago? The Niners are reeling there on roller skates here. Which one of those wide receivers would you rather have right now? DJ Moore or would you go with Keenan Allen?
This is tough because, outside of Roma Dunze, both Keenan Allen and DJ Moore are playing better since the offensive coordinator change. We're seeing, DeAndre Swift kind of take a step back after he was rolling, and this is becoming a more of a throwing offense. Now, these wide receivers, I think if you have either one, you're in pretty good shape. If we look at Keenan, it was the offseason, fat Keenan Allen. He looked slow. He had the injury. Well, now Keenan Allen's starting to look like the old Keenan Allen a little bit. Obviously not prime Keenan Allen, but more so Keenan Allen last year. I like the way they're using him. He's back-to-back games with at least 8 targets. In fact, he's had 8 targets plus in 3 straight games, and then in 4 out of his past 5. So the usage is there. He's getting the yards, the receptions. He's been scoring in the past 2 games. And then you look at DJ Moore right next to him. DJ Moore, since the OC change, he's had 7 targets in 3 straight games. Found the end zone in 2 straight games, over 97 yards in 2 straight games. And these are good defenses. Like, I get on paper, the Lions and the Vikings, they're 2 of the worst in fantasy. But that doesn't mean that they're bad defenses overall. There's still pressure coming at Caleb Williams. And these 2 wide receivers are playing really well. I do think they're tested against the 49ers a little bit, but Mike, you say it all the time. This isn't the same 49ers defense. This is a reeling football team. So I guess down the stretch, is it crazy to say I'd rather have Keenan Allen than DJ Moore? It just seems like, DJ is getting targets, but so is Keenan Allen. And I think if I was to make a trade in fantasy, because I know some trade deadlines are gone, some might be still alive, some leagues might not have them. Keenan Allen's probably going to be a little bit cheaper.
Steve, what says you? How do you tackle this? The wide receivers in Chicago. You could give an honorable name drop to Roma Dunze, but how would you do this between Keenan Allen and DJ Moore?
Yeah, back-to-back solid games for both of them, for sure. Then Keenan, he's got 3 touchdowns his last 2 games, and the Chicago, against the Vikings and against the Lions, and even against Seattle, they'll probably be throwing a lot. So yeah, these 2 guys should finish well down the stretch. I'll go with DJ Moore though. I feel like Keenan Allen, man, he's still crafty as hell running those routes, so he could still set corners up. He's still solid, but I got to give DJ Moore the nod. If I got to pick one of those 2 guys the rest of the way, I'll go DJ Moore. I mean, they gave him all that money. He's younger. He's more explosive. They're kind of using him with those screen routes a little bit more. So, and a big turnaround ever since Thomas Brown took over the last 2 games. So 49ers, Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, Caleb, he's going to have his inconsistencies, but it seems like down the stretch of every game, like in the second half, he kind of figures things out, gets a little more confident, puts balls to the wall, starts slinging it. So yeah, I'll go with DJ Moore there.
And the schedule's nice, for this throwing attack. Again, outside of San Francisco, they're 7th on paper. You get Minnesota and Detroit again. Both of these teams, both of these wide receivers went for over 20 PPR points, and then Seattle. So this is a nice rest of season schedule. Again, I think I lean Keenan Allen. It's really close because I like DJ Moore, but the way that they're being used, if I had to make a trade, I think Keenan's going to be a little bit cheaper.
I see that. I would rather have DJ Moore the rest of the way, but I also see what you're saying. Yeah, I'd still go DJ Moore. But I think the conversation is closer than it's been this whole year, really. Because you can't, like you talked about, like the whole Fat Keenan thing during Hard Knocks. Like, that wasn't a discussion back then. So, it's closer than it's been, but I would still go DJ Moore. Ethan O'Connell comes in here, and he wants to know. Let me see if I can. Where are you? There you go. Lad McConkey for the 102/103 question mark. Steve?
He's trading Lad McConkey for those picks?
I assume so. It's Lad McConkey 4. So that's what I'm assuming, just like you. But yeah.
I can't really give it an educated answer on that because I don't know the draft class next year. That would be more of a straight dynasty guys like the mediators hit them up on Wednesday with that question. But I mean, in general, the second or third pick, it's going to be a pretty high player, obviously, but a very good player. Could it still bust? Yeah, for sure. And Lad looks like he's going to be a thing for a long time. So
he's saying it's just for one pick. So it's either for the 102 or the 103. He's
right. I mean, I don't know. It depends on what your team looks like. I don't mind doing it for the 102. But Lad looks like a sure thing. So you're going to have to hit on that pick, which isn't always the case. You could have the number 1 pick and bust on it. So
Anthony, I know how much you love answering dynasty sort of questions in terms of draft pick trades for players. You're also a Lad McConkey guy though. So what says you on this one?
So the 102, 103, these are really high draft picks, right? So I think the bust potential is lower, right? Yeah. It's not like it's a mid-first where, you have your quote-unquote sure things in the first 3 or 4 picks, and then there's a little bit more bust potential. At the same time, Lad McConkey, is he going to be the wide receiver 1 moving forward, or is there a world where they go get another wide receiver? That's my thing with Lad. Right now, he looks like the real deal. Especially the second half of the year. Since week 8, he's been over 14 PPR or double-digit PPR points in all but 1 game, and over 14 in all but 2 games. And then he's had the 2 games over 20, including yesterday. And I think there was more to be had, but he ended up leaving the game with, I believe, a knee injury. And what Steve is saying is correct.
He might not even play this week.
How I play Dynasty, and it's no secret, picks are worthless to me. I want sure thing players. And this is Ladd's rookie year. He's attached to one of the more talented quarterbacks in the NFL. This offense looks good. Now, right now, the offense it looks a little bit weird because I do think they need that reliable running back like J.K. Dobbins. So, like the past 2 weeks since the J.K. injury, the offense does not look the same, but Ladd has been eating regardless. I don't think it's crazy to say I'd rather have Ladd McConkey because, sure, could one of those two, what is that, 102, 103, maybe there's a Malik Neighbors in there. But, like, Marvin Harrison Jr., is there that much difference between Ladd, Marvin, and Neighbors right now? I don't think so. And Ladd is
that could
attached to the best quarterback.
The Giants get if the Giants get a quarterback worth anything.
But are you willing to roll the dice and potentially get a good player on a bad team with the bad quarterback? That's basically where I'm at.
I mean, if you think you can get Genty maybe with that second pick, then I would do it. Yeah, I mean, Genty looks like he's going to be a freaking stud. So, or maybe even if you get the second pick, maybe you could possibly trade up to get the first. So,
no, I don't know.
Maybe that's the guy I'd go after if you're going to make that deal.
I don't know what side of this you are, Ethan, but I think if you're the Ladd manager and you can get the pick, I think I might do it. Because I think they're overpaying for Ladd McConkey.
And he said he's already secured the 101.
Are you a legitimate rebuild? It
sounds like
the 1 and the 2.
Yeah.
So
no, he's trying to get the 2. We think
he could get the 2. Yeah.
Right. He could potentially have. Yeah.
Here's where the context comes in. You already have the 101. Ladd McConkey is a rookie. He's entering his year 2. You essentially, with that draft pick that you might, like, you already know you got a guy. You already know you got a dude. It's a hit regardless. He's in a good team, a good quarterback. Like, why do you need both the 1 and the 2? You already have the 1. You're going to get your best player. You're the best guy on the board.
I feel like
he could get Shedeur Sanders. He can get Travis Hunter if he wants. He could get Cam Ward. So he's got a lot of options. I don't know who these other guys are. Like, I don't watch enough college football. Like, I don't even know who Torra McMillan is or Luther Burden. But these guys are projected to go top 5.
Right, but
so I mean, either way, I think it makes sense. Even Ladd now, he's been a little dinged up. He's undersized. So, like you said, he's probably overpaying for Ladd McConkey a little bit. Maybe it is the right move to do, and get that number 1 and number 2 pick.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
again, I don't know the draft class good enough, but I know Genty's going to be a stud. Like, he looks like a beast. Shedeur Sanders looks good. I've seen enough of him. Travis Hunter looks like a stud. So Cam Ward looks like he could be really good in the NFL too. So there's some guys there. These receivers I never really seen before. I haven't paid enough attention. Obviously, I'll do my process, but I'm freaking in the thick of what's going on now. So.
I'll say this before we move on. More so in line to Anthony's thinking. Even if I'm not knee deep in the college players and who's coming up and who's going where and what the potential is for this and that, I'm kind of with Anthony, which I already think he's thinking, even though he didn't say it out loud. It's like, you want to stockpile these picks and you want to get all these 2 picks in the top 5. Like, all right, cool. So you get them. It's great. You get the shiny new toy. What does the rest of your roster look like? That's very important. That's why I feel like we always say context is key, but I feel like in Dynasty, context is key more so than almost anything else, because like you're building something. So like, what do you already have? Like if you hit on these 2 top rookies,
it really comes down. Yeah, it really comes down to like if you watch these guys and you really love them, like you think they're going to be beasts, then go do the deal. Go do the deal.
Like, I guess when it's all said and done, it's like, okay, if you have the first and the second, first and the third. You make 2 picks, you hit on 1, the other one's a bust. Or you get 1, and then you're kind of hedging because you already know Ladd McConkey is going to be a pretty good player. Maybe he's not a top 12 wide receiver, but you got a top 15 guy attached to a good situation. It's almost like hedging. And again, in Dynasty, he's only a year 2 player next year. It's not like he's in year 5.
I'd rather hang on to Ladd McConkey, honestly. That guy was peppered with targets. He would have been peppered with more had it not been for his shoulder.
Yeah,
So,
he's good.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
legitimately good.
Yeah, especially if that league happens to be PPR, which wasn't mentioned. If that's PPR, just stay right there. Zach Linton did say, though, speaking of the Chargers, he said Higgins to the Chargers, calling it now. That being Zach Linton. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know if they're going to spend the money on
Possible.
that. It's possible.
How about the Niners possibly signing Jerick McKinnon? You think that will happen? Shanahan's boy. Remember, he would love McKinnon, but he kept getting hurt.
Yeah,
freaking shoot me in the face. God, all right. Going well in San Francisco. Matt Tate said, "Is Tank Bigsby sneaky play versus the Titans this week? Feel like it's going to be a low-scoring, run-heavy kind of game." Anthony, what says you on this one? Tank Bigsby, is he a sneaky play? Again, remember, we have 6 teams on bye, so someone might be in that spot. What says you?
I was very optimistic on Jacksonville when they got Trevor Lawrence back. Unfortunately, you had the dirty play, the dirty hit by Algier from the Texans, and we don't know if we're going to see Trevor Lawrence again. The good thing is Mac Jones, as he keeps starting games, he does look like he's getting a little bit better. By Mageddon, you have a lot of teams on a bye, a lot of running backs on a bye. Tennessee, their defense was lights out. They're kind of regressing. They're now middle of the pack against the run. So if you need a guy to put in there, I don't mind Tanks Bigsby coming off the injury and the bye. Bigsby goes 7 for 28 and then 1 for 7 as a receiver. And then you have ETN, 13 for 46, so 3 for 12. So more touches for ETN. I don't know. I think you could do a lot worse. Like, I don't mind picking up Bigsby. They're probably going to use him a little bit more. But, what else do you have at running back? Who else is out there? Sincere McCormick from the Raiders. I think I might rather – you laugh.
No.
But I think he played well enough to maybe hold off Madison and Zamir. No, I'm not mad. I'm just saying, because it is funny to think that this guy, he's a practice squad guy, he's going to get run. But
yeah, he looked good. It kind of reminds me of Devin Singletary a little bit, the way he runs.
Yeah, they might have packed it in, and they want to see, okay, we know what we have with Madison. We know what we have and we don't have as Zamir. Let's see if we have anything with Sincere McCormick. Like, you have to start thinking this is a time of year where bad teams are going to give their young guys some run.
Yeah, with Mac Jones, it's not great. Tank Bigsby, and then ETN had 6 more carries than him. So yeah, not Tank Bigsby anymore.
Yeah. What else we got here?
He was a thing for like 2-3 weeks, and everybody and their mother said he looks unbelievable, and it's like it's the whole season. You gotta. But Mac Jones is in now. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence got crushed. Terrible.
That was a rough hit.
And respect to D'Amico Ryans for getting his guy off the field and how he handled that.
Yeah, definitely.
Matt also came in and said T. Higgins to the Commanders. So maybe that's the thing. So
they need a second receiver.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on. Tron Force came in and said Jaden Daniels is on bye next week, and I've been holding Tua. Do you guys think Tua versus Jets defense is an okay play, or should I look somewhere else, like, for example, Will Levis against the Jacksonville Jaguars? I would personally say Tua here for me. Yeah. I would go Tua.
Sauce Gardner's getting dusted by Keyshawn Butte. I mean, what's Tyreek and Waddle going to do? So, yeah, I mean, go with Tua.
Are we? Go ahead, Anthony. What do you got?
What did Tua? So these two teams played each other. They haven't played each other yet this year. I'm just looking at
the allure of Levis, though, going up against the Jaguars.
Over 18 fantasy points in 4 straight games. And Washington was a little bit of a tougher matchup. Like, Jacksonville gets lit up by everybody for the most part.
Jacksonville has allowed 8 games with 20 or more points out of 11 games so far this year.
And
at 12, I apologize. Sorry.
Levis, his playoff schedule, and he's playing better. He gets Jacksonville twice, including fantasy championships, Cincinnati 30th, Indy 22nd. Like, there's going to be some spots where you might have to use Will Levis. I don't mind it.
But not over Tua, though.
Tua is fucking killing it right now, too. Over 26 and 3 straight. The Jets matchup does scare me, but I don't know. Does it scare me enough off Tua? Probably not.
If I'm pulling, I'm trying to check something here. Not for nothing. The Jets defense as a whole on the year, if I have this here, the Jets are allowing, they are
Seventh
24th.
best.
They're 24th in what I have here, the 24th in points allowed to quarterbacks. I use DraftKings scoring, but over the last 3 weeks, they are 7th in points allowed over the last 3 weeks. So the script is kind of flipped those last few weeks. I mean, they allowed 12.4, but you see at 29 points, 28 points. So the Jets defense can be had. What a difference not having Rob Saleh makes. I still don't think that's enough, though, for me to say I'm going to play Levis over Tua. If you had a lesser option than Tua, then I'd say, yes, go ahead, play Levis. But I can't say that right now.
2 games last year, Jets held Tua under 16 fantasy points. Again, this is a different Jets defense now without Saleh. But, Tua hasn't played his best football against the Jets.
Yeah,
although he is 5-0 against the Jets, for what that's worth. But in terms of fantasy, solid.
Yeah, right.
Solid, not spectacular in fantasy. But again, without Saleh, this Jets team isn't the same.
Steve, you got anything else on that? Or are you good?
Nah, I'll go with Tua. I mean, I think Will Levis has a great matchup, and if you wanted to use him, he may come close to Tua. So,
Sure.
but with Tyreek and Waddle and Achane and the way Jonnu's playing, and the Miami is really Tua kind of saved the day. Everybody's telling him to freaking retire. I was at that game against Buffalo where he got knocked out.
Right.
In Miami, and and thank God he came back because he saved the Dolphins season.
Yep. So far, so good. Matt did come in and say, has Garrett Wilson the most up and down fantasy performances this year? That's not because of injuries. Has he been most up and down?
Freaking he did you guys see that route he ran in the end zone and Rodgers overthrew him? And then Rodgers was like screaming in the air. And then the next play he gets picked 6 by Leonard fucking Williams.
Yeah. I can't believe they couldn't catch up to him.
Oh my God. It was just he had that fucking sideline and everybody else was just the Jets, who the fuck? Probably 7 players gave up on that play. Who knows?
It's a mess.
You needed that Don Beebe type of effort, but nobody was going to give that there.
No one's doing that there. No, not with the way things are going there. All right, I guess we'll give a couple more minutes here. We don't have a ton in the chat here, and we could always set our DFS lineups and our bets for the show, but. Steve, anything that jumps out to you in terms of the upcoming playoffs or what we saw here in Week 13? Anything to kind of ponder on or to give the listeners?
I think you could say, Anthony Richardson and Drake May should be pretty strong starts regardless of matchup down the stretch. Hopefully, you added a couple of those guys. I know that both are on a bye this week. I know the Patriots are definitely on a bye this week.
Patriots are on a bye. The Colts, the Colts are on a bye too.
Yeah, so both guys are off. But, for the week 1 of the fantasy playoffs, I feel good about them both. Richardson had a, up and down game. There was some drops, but he finished the game strong. Drake May, again, made some nice throws, had a couple long runs as well. And then he should have had another touchdown as well. Hunter Henry, I believe, what's the freaking linebacker on the Colts? He freaking stripped the ball out. That should have been another touchdown. Drake, both of these guys are reliable down the stretch. It was kind of enjoyable to watch them go against each other. Jaden Daniels is back too. He's healthy again. Yeah. He's running the ball again. The Commanders, nice win, dominant win, 42-19 over the Titans. Brian Robinson, man, how underrated has he been all year? Terry McLaurin having his best fantasy year ever, best season in the NFL ever. Jaden Daniels, man, no hesitation. Him and McLaurin pretty much every matchup down the stretch.
The Colts next week are at Denver and the Patriots are at Arizona. So there you go.
Denver's a little scary, but you play your matchups. Maybe you have like a Baker or something, but Baker's a little bit banged up, but even in that matchup, I think his floor is pretty safe.
Anthony, before we get to a couple more questions, anything that you would kind of tell the audience headed into this week? Anything to keep in mind, or whether it's fantasy playoff related, whether it's performances, who you think is going to trend up?
What about Kirk Cousins and the Falcons?
Yeah, that's if you're in a super flex league, I would look at Michael Penix and pick him up if he's not already rostered. There's a world where I see one more bad game out of Kirk Cousins, and they're going to put Michael Penix in there because this team is still in the playoff mix. And if this offense continues to struggle, you need to. And a lot of it, I think, is Cousins was already not the most mobile guy in the world. He's coming off the Achilles. I think that immobilizes him that much more. Penix can move around a little bit. So I can see a world where one more bad game out of Kirk Cousins, they're pulling the plug. I don't think, if Kirk Cousins has a bad first half, I can see them pulling the plug at halftime this week. I don't think that's crazy, which means stash Penix and Superflex. There's enough weapons there where if he's competent, that who knows? You have to kind of think outside the box.
Kirk Cousins' revenge game against the Vikings this week in Minnesota.
Oh,
that could be a disaster.
Raheem Morris says he's fired up for Kirk Cousins to bounce back.
And Albert's telling me that it's a revenge game, which means he wants me to play music. Yeah. And for some reason, it's not playing on my headphones, but it's playing for you guys. So it's very awkward. I did want to get to. Oh, I'm sorry. I pulled the question up already. Albert distracted me. It's okay, Albert. Matt did say, which I thought was interesting for you guys. Chase Brown or Bucky Irving rest of season. I think this is kind of interesting. Chase Brown has been producing. Bucky Irving, we know. We talked about him earlier. Steve, I'll go to you first on this one, and then I'll go to Anthony. Chase Brown or Bucky Irving rest of season?
Yeah, I mean, both these guys are smaller backs, but absolute dynamite. I mean, Chase Brown has been taking off ever since Zach Moss has been out of the mix. And he was starting to take over even prior to that injury. Little bit better offense with the Bengals, and their defense has been horrendous. Tampa Bay's defense has been bad too. So both these teams play a lot of high scoring games, a lot of catch up scores. I'm gonna go slightly Chase Brown. I mean, 27 carries, 120 against the Raiders. He's catching 11 balls against the Ravens for 52 yards, 7 against the Chargers, another 3 yesterday, another 12 for 70 on the ground against Pittsburgh. So, yeah, slight edge to Chase Brown. Bucky's a little bit banged up with the hip injury. We don't know how serious it is. You got Rachaad White in the mix a little bit as well. Chase Brown, there's pretty much nobody else. There was some talk that possibly Khalil Herbert could get some burn, but that looks like it's not going to happen. The Bengals season, I mean, they're still going to fight, but it's, they got one last shot. I guess they got to win. They got to totally win out and get a lot of help. But yeah, I'll go Chase Brown slightly.
Yeah, this is really close. We talked about Bucky and Irving, and it was not close. Or Bucky and Najee earlier, and that really wasn't close for me. Bucky and Chase Brown is really close. Bucky Irving, a little bit of a timeshare, even though he is emerging as the guy, 16-plus touches in 3 straight. And then, it's ascending. He had 18 in week 12, 26 this past week, at least 3 targets in every game since week 7. On the season, he's at 12.7 touches per game. So you can see in the past 3 games, he's going well over that mark. I'm not as worried about the hip injury. They're already downplaying it. And the rest of the season schedule, Raiders, Chargers, Dallas, Carolina in the fantasy championship, that week 16 and 17 is really juicy. He's efficient. He's targeted out of the backfield. He's becoming a do-it-all running back, and they have a good passing attack. So they can't just focus on stacking the box and taking out Bucky Irving. On the other side, it's a very similar situation. You can't stack the box against Chase Brown because you have Joe Burrow and a very prolific passing attack. Now, here's where I favor Chase Brown. On the year, he's at 15.9 touches per game. But ever since Zach Moss went down, and even when Zach Moss was still around, Chase Brown was still ascending. Since Khalil Herbert got there, I think Herbert literally has 1 touch. Every touch, for the most part, is going to Chase Brown in that backfield. And people worry about his size. He is delivering. He's not banged up. He's over 19 PPR points in every game since week 9, including 2 over 24. Getting it done as a receiver, similar to Bucky Irving. Only whose offense do I trust more? I think I trust the Cincy offense a little bit more, but their schedule is not as good. I love the Bucky Irving schedule. I like the Chase Brown schedule. You got Dallas, Tennessee, Cleveland, Denver in the fantasy championship. I don't think it's a gauntlet like Najee Harris, but I think it's a little bit of a tougher road. If I had to only pick one, I think I'm with Steve. I still would slightly lean Chase Brown, but it's really close.
It's close. That's why I pulled it up. It's a great question by Matt. I would lean Chase Brown. And Anthony, you kind of alluded to it. I was looking at the last 3 weeks. Last 3 weeks, Chase Brown has gotten 85% of the running back carries over the last 3 weeks to Khalil Herbert and his 3%. In terms of passing targets, in terms of the backfield specifically, Chase Brown 12, Khalil Herbert 0. So, yeah, I would go Chase Brown here.
Yeah. By the way, that 14-team league I'm in, I have Chase Brown and Bucky Irving at 7-6, and if I don't get into the playoffs, I'll be pretty pissed off. And Kamara.
Wow.
And Jaden Daniels and Sutton and Bowers. So
the hell happened?
What happened?
Just you got some shitty losses. I'm second in points.
One of those weeks where
may not make the playoffs.
Yeah. All right.
That's why I've been telling the commissioner, because in the past it was a 14-team league. He allowed 7 teams to get in. And we won the league that year. And then after that, he took away the 7 teams and he moved it back to 6. Like I said, you got to have the 7 team.
High points needs to get in every league. If you're, because bad luck shouldn't keep a good team out of the playoffs. Yeah. And that's what I like, and I know it burned me a little bit this year in the FFPC, but I think that makes it fair.
Yeah.
Even though it works against you sometimes, it's the right thing to do.
I want to bring this one up, and then this will be it for us, and then we'll go settle all our lineups and all of our bets. But I do think this one's interesting. One of you alluded to this earlier, talking about the Eagles' defense just being better. Tron Force comes in and says, I'm kind of afraid of Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry up against Philadelphia in Week 16. Some people are looking ahead to the fantasy football playoffs. I mean, Steve, you just kind of intimated you're trying to get in there in that 14-team league. How scared would you be? Then this is one of those interesting things we come up against. I mean, those are players who probably brought you there, even though McLaurin's been a little inconsistent. Jaden Daniels was great until he had the rib injury. Now he's coming back on. But, Anthony, how worried would you be about these two guys going up against Philadelphia in Week 16?
I mean, didn't they just play and we saw Philly kind of minimize the Washington offense? And I get everybody wants to say, well, Jaden Daniels was injured. You had Pittsburgh and Philly, 2 of the best, probably top 5 defenses in the NFL. Very athletic, very good defensive coordinators. Their studs can get to the quarterback. They can spy the quarterback. Like I think it's less about the injury and more about these defenses are really good. And Cliff Kingsbury is kind of predictable with how he does not move Terry McLaurin around.
Yeah.
So I'm very worried about, I don't know what else you have to work with. There's not many guys I'm starting over Jaden Daniels. But if you have another quarterback to pivot to, I might consider it depending on who you have.
Yeah, 15 points last game. But again, he that was a couple of weeks ago, week 11. I think he's definitely healthier now. So maybe more rushing yards. But Fangio's got that cover 3 defense working right now. I mean, they're just kind of not letting a lot of big plays happen. But, Lamar Jackson did just run for 79 yards against them. I think that last run, the end of the game, he ran for 50 yards.
Yeah.
But threw 2 touchdowns, had a nice fantasy day, 30 fantasy points. Stafford threw for 243 and 2 touchdowns as well. So I think Daniels could still get you 20. The question is, like you said, Ant, he's not moving. Kingsbury's not moving McLaurin around.
Yeah.
So, you'd hope that he get a little more damn creative and kind of get him into the slot, get him out of the outside. But who the hell knows? That's kind of what Kingsbury does. He's just very motionless with his offense.
Real quick, just for fun, only because it's in the old rumor mill. I'm just curious for your guys' thoughts. Cliff Kingsbury, potential head coach candidate for the Bears. Thoughts?
No.
Wow.
No, don't like that.
I don't hate it.
It's all about him being familiar with working with Caleb.
Yeah. I mean, is it not an upgrade over what Caleb has had already?
It's probably a disaster either way, but I was just curious for your guys' thoughts. We didn't talk about this yet.
Cliff Kingsbury was a good head coach in Arizona.
I think No, he wasn't a good head coach.
I mean, they
Ish.
make I think
Ish,
they
in a
make
way.
multiple playoff appearances, but how many times did Kyler get hurt down the stretch? That's not on Cliff.
Yeah, but he kind of like he started out good, then he fell off. But he did change his philosophy up a little bit this year. That trip to Thailand, I think, helped him out a little bit, maybe.
You think it did?
So,
Probably in more ways than one.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know for the Bears. Like, I feel like they need like a I would rather have like a Vrabel or something like that, and then hire like a strong like an offensive guy. Like,
Hire the next Ben Johnson.
You can't put another defensive guy. I think you need an
but
offensive
they need
mind.
they need like a strong head coach. Like, I don't know if Kingsbury's going to turn that team around. Maybe he'll help Caleb, but I don't know if the Bears are going to be in the playoffs with Kingsbury.
Oh well. All right.
I think we've kind of seen that story already. And for me, I don't think it'll work. But.
I think Ben Johnson's the answer.
The best coordinator in football. I mean, yeah. I mean,
it's just a matter of does he want to take it?
So Caleb gets DJ Moore. Dunze, now he needs the best offensive coordinator in football to be successful.
And
I mean, how much help does this guy need?
Oh, here we go. I remember this. That's what this is coming in.
What?
Steve pledging allegiance to Justin Fields.
Yeah, I'm still bitter about
it. Fields couldn't beat out Russ.
Well, Russ is playing
Steve,
great.
I'm not judging you, man. I do the same shit. But,
Russ is playing great.
Old man Russ.
Russ is, man, it's a freaking renaissance year for him, man. I mean, props to Tomlin for making that move. I mean, it didn't look good at the time, but it's working out.
No, it didn't. That's
because
funny.
It's not like Fields was playing bad. He was playing good.
Yeah.
But Russ has just been better. I'm just saying, the perfect situation. Does he need like the best core? Like, he should be able to succeed if he's good enough. He shouldn't need the best coordinator. But I mean, obviously that would be the move.
I mean,
but are the Lions going to let the Bears get him? I don't think so.
This is also why we need to stop throwing around the word like generational talent.
But like Patrick Mahomes has, like, he has everything.
Yeah.
Is Patrick Mahomes, if Mahomes was drafted by the Bears, Mahomes is just a guy. Mahomes might be Trubisky right now. No. If he was drafted by the Bears?
Trubisky?
And that's fucking disaster?
Not Trubisky.
But how many times have we seen good players get drafted to bad situations and they're out of the league?
Yeah, I mean, it happens, but I think Mahomes is talented enough to stand on his own right,
I mean, what did the Bears have? Alshon Jeffrey? I don't even know if they had Alshon Jeffrey for when that Trubisky year or that rookie for the Mahomes year.
Yeah, but I mean, Trubisky went to the Steelers and he was terrible there too. So I mean, he's had his chances.
Are you really defending Trubisky right now?
He likes Trubisky.
I'm not defending. I'm just saying the fact that
he likes Mariota.
I think situation matters.
Okay. No, of course, definitely matters.
Great time to end the show.
Go look at Sam Darnold. Go look at Darnold. Look at Baker.
Jesus. All right, here we go.
I love the energy.
Dad, what else you got?
What?
Who else we got to look at?
Like, I mean, I won't.
Rich Gannon. Vinny Testaverde.
Listen, if Mac Jones,
Brad Johnson,
win the fucking Super Bowl.
He's still on with that.
What are you saying?
Mac Jones, if he was drafted by the 49ers, like he should have been.
All right. No, that's it. I'm calling.
Like he should have been.
That's gonna do. Anthony, get ready to hit the end button.
I
appreciate everybody for watching. Hope you guys had a great time. We will be back again tomorrow. Until next time, stay thirsty, be kind to one another, avoid tinfoil hats. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Cheers.